Today, what I'm going to be discussing is Satan and Lucifer, since there is confusion between these two. In the past, I've had to strip the powers of both of them, though they are two different souls, not the same person. I know in Christianity some believe they are the same person, but from actual soul knowledge of what I've had to deal with in the past, they are totally two different people. Plus, I have entered into my soul form using my third eye, and I have checked on where Lucifer's at currently, which I know he is separate from the current Satan reincarnation. They are completely two different ages and two different souls. Because I really dislike Satan because of what he's done in the past, not under just one life, but under probably over 1,000 lives, although it might be a lot higher on the number, is when I was testing him, when he was actually a good angel, I promoted him to a God status, and that was as his life as Kronos. He was being tested by me to see, was he worthy to have this role, to be over a planet, or was he not worthy? The other people I gave the test to passed the test, but he failed his test. His solution was to cause world slavery and to drug the entire population in order to control them. Some of his drugs currently is what are mostly classified as illegal drugs. Cannabis is one of those, although different people like to say God created cannabis. One of the examples is they will say Shiva used cannabis. Before I was called by my current angelic name, I was called Shiva before that. And I never taught to use cannabis. What I taught was, this is one of the substances from one of the demons. And the drink I would have the person drink is what actually heals them. In the Christian Bible, it is called the water of life, or life water. In Hindu, it is the container I carry with me, which I've been referring to as heaven healing water, since it is the same water we have in heaven. The only difference is we're on earth currently. The other thing, during Kronos, after he failed that mission, I had to come here, kill him, so he would no longer be in a God state, then remove his powers, so he no longer was at that state. Then I gave him a life later on as Apep in Egypt. This is the life when the name Satan actually came about, though people, I don't think, actually list this in history, which I can find currently. I do know that there is a lot older Bibles buried with the body of Jesus, which is one of my prior reincarnations. That is within the tomb of when I died after being here for 900 years. On the on the hands and feet and stuff, it will have holes with muscle tissue over it and skin tissue from the healing. I chose not to heal the bone structure, so there would be physical proof. on Apep's life, what he did was he released a book called Satan. On it, one of the first pages says, "Everyone is your own God," instead of listing about the full past on who was who. "Everyone is your own God" is strictly a lie, and most of the book which I looked over during that time was listing lies. I was wondering where the book came from, since I knew it was a book of lies. What I found out is Satan, which was Apep, was using the book to summon people to him using magic. Then he would take the person and eat them in his snake form, which he transformed his body into a snake in order to eat them. That particular snake became larger than Earth itself, which could go around the planet. I had to end up killing him and sealing him into different boxes, which are the boxes, it's in the Egypt desert. They are solid black, and most of them do not have lids. Only one of them had a lid. The one with the lid on it is the one where I put the head of Apep. And then the next thing I had to do was divide all the prior souls he consumed on people from that body, so they would be separate from him. Then those people were sent back to be reincarnated to live out their life before going to judgment. So they would be judged whether they were going to heaven or hell afterwards. When I sliced Apep up into the boxes, I had to compress that down versus what his physical size was, which covered the entire globe, or entire Earth. I don't know if the people can read what I wrote down on the boxes or not, though there are carvings, inscriptions on what I used to imprison each piece so that they could stay in that state while I worked on all the people who were trapped in it. The one with Apep's head, I finished removing all the souls from that part, and the only thing left was his body. That body I left with the cover closed on that specific part or chamber for him to remain there until he died in that human form. The DNA of that body can be, if you worked on actually analyzing the DNA, you would have the DNA of Satan. As long as nobody has replaced that body with a different body. At the time when I sealed it, I know only his body was in there, and I verified he died before not checking on that location anymore. I have seen the humans have found this, but I don't know what they have physically done since they have found it. With Lucifer, I checked him in this life to see how he was doing. I did have to strip his powers in the past, though he was a good person, so I gave him back his angelic powers in this life. Most of the time I don't do this, but I was having issues with multiple people having soul corruption, and I needed more people who were good souls to help with this issue. So currently Lucifer has some soul powers and is a good person, although he has a very bad past, which is true. Satan is a separate soul. He currently has 0 powers, or none. I removed his soul title and gave it to another angel, so that people who worship Satan would not be able to talk to him. They could be led to a good path instead of following the ways of Satan and then possibly becoming like a demon, which then would be on my list of soul execution. We do have some demons who previously followed Satan in one of his past lives, but those souls I had here on a rehabilitation life, which means that they were being tested to see could they be a good person, and if so, they might go to heaven instead of having to go to hell, or the other possibility was soul execution. With Satan, he is pretty much on his last life, and I have seen that he has done a lot of bad in this life. Besides, I've met him in person, though most people will not believe on who he is because they don't know how to check souls, which you have to do in your soul form. And most people who can check souls, you would either have to have an angelic soul to be able to read souls, or you would have to talk to an angel to find out who or where that person is at. That's all I'm going to cover on this topic for now. I might release another video later if there is some more information you need to know on the topic.